I was intending on making my Viola Davis video. Just about everybody's talking about that. I was intending on making that my last video in this, weekend of videos that I've been putting out. Um, Hold on one second. So, I was just intending on that to be like the last video. I'll probably post that tomorrow or something like that. But then I was just, going through my phone, looking at notifications, looking at the local crime. Philly's crime is just, it's all fucked up right now. Like it's every day. Every day somebody getting gunned down, every somebody getting shot. I don't know what the pandemic did, you know, to a lot of people's minds, the desperation, I mean, I always talk about shit falling out the bottom, but it's just like it's like overload right now. But I was just scrolling through my phone and I saw this robbery in Cheltenham, Pennsylvania happen tonight. It's Saturday and that's how fast the news gets out. But anyway, this guy, somebody was trying to rob his Suburban. He had a late model Suburban. Went outside, confronted the four guys. Got into an altercation with them. Why you're going out there with nothing but your ass? I don't understand that. You live in Pennsylvania. You could easily carry a gun. I'm just saying it's probably smarter to call 911, but he decided to go outside. Four guys. He's lucky he didn't get shot, but he did get stabbed multiple times, and he had to, go to the hospital and get emergency surgery. After they fled, he was like, "Oh, I'm bleeding. Somebody stabbed me." Da 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 da. Cops came, and then they interviewing the neighbors and all this stuff. And I just got finished looking at that. Like I was like, where is Cheltenham, Pennsylvania? I was like forgetting, and it's like just south of Jenkintown. I was like, yeah, just south of Jenkintown, and it's like you keep on going. I think you like going to Germantown. Like all this is like west of North Philly, like northwest of North Philly. Anyway, then I came across, because they had like a memorial for PnB Rock, out there, and was it Pastoria and Bayton. I don't even know if that's how you say the street. I know Pastoria is right, but the way you spell Bayton, it's kind of spelled funny. It's like B-Y, like it's spelled funny. I don't even know how to say it properly. Um, but they had a memorial for PNB Rock. People were remembering him, and this is one of the things that like people forget all the time. And his brother made a post, and the post is just so, like, the post even got to me. Like the post is just so fucked up because basically, he's basically, you know PNB Rock was the one that made it out. And as always, and I talked about this before when I talk about black people in poverty and the whole issue with, when we talk about generational wealth and stuff like that, and why it's hard for a lot of people to build wealth, because I'm saying PNB Rock was, he was an entertainer, right? So he's making money, but in a way, like it was weird because his like YouTube numbers on his channel aren't that big, and I said some of his songs are garbage, but like that song, what was that song I was talking about the other day? High, I think that's what it was called. Is that what it's called? The one where he did like the remix with like the, I don't know whether it was SWB Total or Escape. Anyway, that's a good song. I like his R&B, don't like his rapping. But anyway, you know, PNB Rock was the rock of the family. Anytime you get somebody who makes it out the hood, I mean, this is what, poverty is, and what, just how it works. One person makes it out, they make it to the NBA, they make it to, being a rapper or artist, and then they basically lift everybody else up out of poverty. They breaking money off, they taking care of everybody, making sure everybody's eating, they're sending money home. It's not just a matter of, just, that person just functioning by themselves. With black folks and poverty, When one person makes it out, they end up taking care of cousins and uncles and relatives and brothers and sisters and everything. And so PNB Rock's brother was basically saying that, like, why couldn't they take me? I always got your back. I got your side. I'm always there. Like, why couldn't I been there? Why didn't they take me? Because he said it right in there. And I felt that shit. He was like, my life was shit before you got on. You know what I'm saying? And then further down he even said, he's like, you were the provider, for basically the whole family. Like in other words, the folks was still there, but he was making sure that they were good. A lot of people ain't trying to move out, whether class or culture or you want to be around the neighborhood and everything, which I don't really think is smart because you a target. But him saying that, it kind of made me think. I'm looking at PnB Rock like, the fuck is you doing, yo? You the one taking care of everybody, and you just out here moving reckless. Because recklessness is what got PnB Rock killed. That's the main thing that got him killed. Regardless of, his freaking girlfriend putting the location and dropping the addy and all that other stuff because she want to dick around on social media. Like we've been warning about that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like people just obsessed with social media. Like I don't get it. But you have that aspect, but even still, even without her, he was still moving reckless. And that's why I feel like PnB, because everybody's talking about let this be a lesson, let this be a lesson. And I'm saying, maybe it's because, he's, this is like, you got, Kodak Black got hit out there. Quando Rondo got hit out there. Freaking Pop Smoke got hit out there. Like, LA ain't nothing to play with. So, it's like, how I want to say this. It's like, I guess PnB Rock's death, everybody's like, oh, it needs to be, a lesson, and it should be a lesson. But I feel like it's even more, like, I would say that Pop Smoke was a bigger star than, PnB Rock, but I just noticed that there's more of a conversation around PnB Rock than there was around Pop Smoke. Like, Pop Smoke shit to me was like truly a mistake. Like that posting the shit and then like the address of the house being in the background, like, which was, again, all that posting addies and shit like that. I'm like, what are you doing? The internet is not a safe space. It's a dangerous place, especially when, niggas out here starving. So, I look at Pop Smoke as more of a mistake, a careless mistake, but PnB Rock to me, that's just reckless. It's reckless. And, after reading his brother's post, I'm kind of mad at PnB Rock. Like, I'm like, oh man, nigga, you the one providing for your family. I mean, it kind of hit me with he's providing for, his girl and his kids. Like, that's a given. But then I just completely forgot about you were probably taking care of your moms. You were probably, I know his father got killed when he was young. You're probably taking care of your mom. You're probably taking care of, well, we know you were taking care of your brother, breaking him off. If he needed something, you got him. You know what I mean? I mean, it's got to be some comfort to sit there and like, hey, my sibling is is a star. My sibling is doing songs with Nicki Minaj. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody should just relish in that and not do anything with their life. But, who knows? People, if PnB Rock got caught up with ironically the same shit that got him killed, which was burglary, then, maybe his brother's also got some felonies or some shit like that. But, it's like the moving reckless. Look, and here's my thing, why this shit kind of like bothers me, like it irks me, right? And I know people would say PnB Rock was a Pookie or ex-Pookie or whatever, but I'm just saying we got some real savages out here in the black community. And my attitude is everybody should protect themselves. And this is why I always get on the gun control shit and tell black people they need to get off the Democratic train. I mean, the Democrats should be black people's bitch in terms of reparations, in terms of resources being allocated to the black community, in terms of gun rights, not gun control. Like, yo, you gotta take this off the table, because if you're not gonna address any of these economic issues, I at the very least got to be able to protect myself, because that's what's out here. And yes, I will be shooting at other black people, unfortunately, but that's just the nature of the beast. Run DMC made a little comment at the bottom of this article. Run DMC is like, the 17-year-olds and the 19-year-olds, basically we need one of them to stand up and say something. I was like, no, nigga, no. See, what's going to have to happen at this point is you're going to have to put these little niggas in the dirt. And nobody wants to say that. Nobody wants to have that conversation. You know what I mean? It should not be older black people, older black men, and even the women, but I'm talking to the men specifically. It should not be older black men running around terrified of their kids and their fucking grandkids. You have, and again, this even rolls into the whole, talking about, patriarchy versus patriarchy and other races, and you don't even have your own kids underneath control. So how the fuck you gonna go up there and challenge other races of men? You're putting the cart before the horse. And yeah, we know about the economic disparity and the racism and all that shit, the redlining and blockbusting and all that crap that facilitated the situation that we see. But it still shouldn't be, older black men running around the community more fearful of the young boys blowing them away than the freaking young boys fearful of older men blowing them away. Like this just highlights just like how piss poor black men working together is across the board. Whether you're closer to the streets or whether you're up there on Mount Olympus, somewhere living the bougie life, like Run DMC. I mean, I'm like, I don't like him making that statement. Like basically, the young guy, a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old need to talk to other young people to not do this. I'm like, nah, nigga, you failed, yo. You failed. You failed to sit there and they need to fix themselves. I'm like, we're talking about young men here. Like, where the fuck is the guidance? I could get on the women and talk about their shit and picking the wrong dude, because you can't prevent them from fucking whoever they want to fuck. They can go out here and sleep with and fuck whatever dusty they want to fuck with, and then sit around and bitch about the young men not being men. But I'm like, you didn't even get with a man that could teach the boy those type of lifetime skills, because he wasn't qualified to be a father, let alone an instructor, or let alone anybody with any amount of wisdom to give to the damn boy. So of course the boy's gonna be fucked up based on what you laying up with and having babies with and whatnot. But I'm saying still, nonetheless, as a collective community of men, what I'm saying, there needs to be some self-checking going on here, because once the boys are violent, the women can't do anything about that. Understand that the women, once the boys become violent, the women cannot do anything about that. We could talk about what the women contributed to, from age 1 to age, 14. You know what I'm saying? But once the baby gets to 14, once the boy is at 14, he should be knowing, or I'd say 12. Because that's used 12 is about the age where the mother can't control him anymore, not physically. So they should know. And unfortunately, this is going to lead to, a lot of the dead bodies of teenage boys being blown away by older black men in the community until they get it, that this will not be tolerated. And the punishment is death. That needs to be understood. But see, unfortunately, there's so many things not in place. There's so many, where you got a bunch of black men organized with their CCWs over there talking to Maj Toure and all that other shit. And we got the police chief lined up. We got the police commissioner lined up. We got the freaking, is the police chief and the police commissioner the same thing? I don't think it's the same thing. police chiefs of a police department, police commissioners of the whole police department, right? The mayor, the lawyers, the prosecutor, the DA, all this shit. Black men should have in their back pocket. That way, when some shit goes down, if you were a contributing, participating member of the community, you blow one of these, young boys away because they tried to carjack you. Cops come, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Like the young boys should recognize that at least some segment of the system which guides the community is disproportionately on your side. They're nobody because they haven't proven themselves yet. They haven't done anything yet. They haven't contributed to the society yet. So they don't have any clout and reputation in the community. Yeah, they got clout in the streets. But I mean, what type of community do you have when clout in the streets is more significant than clout in the politics and the other more what do you want to call it, legitimate and institutional aspects of the community? Like what do you do when the street shit, it has more respect and more clout? See, I'm just saying, a lot of black men, and see, now we're getting into my generation's kids. A lot of you niggas that's running around here talking all that street shit that got gray whiskers coming out of your beards and shit, y'all fucked up. Seriously fucked up. You have no control of these young boys. Zero. You got no control of your own sons in the city of Philadelphia. And I'm pretty sure, we could talk about the rest of the country, but I'm talking about Philly. You got no control of your own boys. They don't fear you. You fear them. That's weakness. That's weak. I'll be the first one to admit that's some weak ass shit. That's some real weak shit. And this is why I'm always advocating. I'm like, look, all this we can talk about after school programs, and we could talk about, economic opportunities in the community, right? Because the economic opportunity component, that has to be there. That's why you see what you see. These young boys, they don't eat off of you. Fuck what your opinion is. They don't get any sustenance from you. You're dealing with the same type of belligerence with them that you deal with black women, because essentially they're not dependent on you for their survival. They do not have to negotiate with you for shit. They go out here, they sell their fentanyl, they have their little turf wars and they beef and everything, and they're killing each other, they carjacking and all that shit, and ain't nobody doing shit. Right? All y'all talk about, we got to get the police after we, ran around for a year talking about, defund the police and the police are the problem and all that shit. Now you running over to White Zaddy to come do something about it. That's weakness. What are you going to do about it? And again, we don't even set it up to where, like I said, where the politics are in place and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like you go into, I don't know, an Italian neighborhood and start acting a fool and shit, you'll just end up missing. And the cops will come around, cops is in on it and all that other shit. That's why you got that Mumia Abdul-Jabbar shit sitting right over there in front of Geno's with the fucking Joey Faulkner plaque sitting up there. You see what I'm saying? They play the game. We don't play the game. And so, it ends up being, even when you try to check some shit through force, it just ends up being murder, black on black crime or something like that. Like, nah, that little nigga had it coming. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no, you can't even enforce the shit because you don't control the economic landscape. Therefore, you don't have the politics behind you. Right? You don't have, I'm all for having dirty cops and dirty mayors and dirty everything as long as they're in your favor. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why dirty cops and dirty everything else is a problem is because they're not in your favor. But that's how every other community plays it. Like, y'all gotta get street smart, politics smart. But y'all ain't doing that. So now these young boys are running around doing whatever. Because I guarantee you the person that took out PnB Rock was a young boy. Like, just some wild, reckless shit. You know what I mean? Oh, he didn't want to give up the chain. He took off the first one. He didn't want to give up the chain. Oh, hit the pistol with the motherfucker. Shoot him in the calf. He'll give it up then. Inflict some pain. You know what I mean? But the whole I gotta kill you and all that other stuff, trying to catch your body, clout chase, all that's that extra shit. That's that reckless young boy, shit, the immature shit. Like all codes, all street codes are fucking dead. I don't even know like how, where, why people still running around like the streets operate like it's the 70s or something, because they don't. They don't. They had that freaking even Rick Ross was up there on Vlad TV talking about the Mexicans versus black people, talking about black gangs are like freelance. You know what I mean? But the Mexican gangs they got shot callers. If they tell you you got to do something, you got to do it. If you don't do it, then you get taken out. I don't know what black men don't understand about this. And I'm talking, this is across the board. This is, like I said, from the niggas on Mount Olympus to the niggas in the trenches. We got freaking 14, we got teenagers. Niggas out here catching bodies before they caught a body. If you get my drift. We got virgins out here catching bodies. And niggas running around here scared. They get up on the news and they talk about, it's just sad. That's all y'all niggas can do. It's just sad. Or you get the pastor coming up, the black pastor that comes up there. You know what I mean? The old black man who looks like, he looks like a football coach. Like he used to have some muscle and some size on it, but like he still has it, but it kind of went to shit. And he got like a big belly. He got a big thick neck, and he's like this burly, looking like Coach from freaking Left 4 Dead and shit like that. That nigga always got to come out and get up on the interview on the news and talk about we got young men and we got to do this and do that. But the details are weak. The details are always weak. And then there's no conversation about force. Like, I'm like, look, a hard head makes a soft behind. Sooner or later, I mean, other groups they're already doing this. Obviously, they're not, our children are not their children, but there's been a number of attempted carjackings in Philly, and them motherfuckers are shooting back. I just don't see them, because you don't have any economic opportunities for them, right? There's no economic, they don't eat off of you. I don't see these young boys in Philadelphia stopping until, some of them start getting taken out. Plain and simple. It's not going to stop until the conversation gets reversed. And they're like, man, it's dangerous out in these streets, man. There's too many, these old niggas out here, packing. It's not going to stop until y'all start shooting back. Y'all don't want to hear that. Y'all want to talk that white Jesus shit, that turn the other cheek and, oh, there's better ways to do this. Y'all been saying that shit forever. Y'all been saying that shit since I've been a little boy. Y'all been talking about all these alternative ways doing shit. Shit, they'll never talk about the money, never talk about the economics. They took the vocational programs out of the schools, right? And all you got left is, the Bible and running your mouth a lecture and shit like that. When everything that they're doing is tied to them trying to make a dollar, whether it's carjacking, whether it's them knocking over stores, whether it's stealing somebody's purse on the street or whatever. All this is desperate shit. It's like what I think it was the baby or little baby, I forget who said it, but one of them said it. That they were like, yeah, like, basically niggas start, they start resorting to armed robbery and shit like that when they don't have a hustle. See, shit is, when people are doing shit illegally, but they can still make money, other type of hustles, then, shit is a lot less violent. But these young boys, they don't have any hustle. You see? And so without a hustle, this is what you get. You get, oh, let's rob somebody. Crimes of opportunity. Oh, there's a little girl, walking a dog or some shit. Even though I think that one, I don't know if y'all saw the girl, the 17-year-old girl that was walking her dog. That shit looked personal because she was targeted. Now I don't know whether she witnessed something or some shit, but that looked targeted to me. That wasn't just some, random, oh, they're walking a dog, but that whole, oh, they're walking a dog, let's target them. I remember they had a Temple student freaking couple months ago, maybe sometime last year, that was killed, and he was walking his dog, and two teenagers ran up on him, tried to rob him, and shot him anyway. This sort of depraved soul type of shit. I'm like, damn, like, you ain't got to shoot the boy. Like, you already got what you wanted. He's probably scared shitless. He gave you the phone. You gonna shoot him anyway. Again, that when I hear shit like that, I'm like, that already tells me the ages. I mean, the boy that shot Pop Smoke, he was I think the youngest one of the group. He was 15 years old. It was the 15-year-old that shot Pop Smoke. The other cats was like, yo, we just here to rob. What are you doing? What are you doing? Now I'm accomplice to a murder. Like, fuck is you doing? Again, this is what happens when you get, really immature, children, committing, these type of crimes with firearms. And, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, but, some of your sons got to die. Because, the shit was just, it's too fucked up. Whether it's you picking the dusty dude that you picked, the father not being there. Right now, he's running around the community and he's violent, and we got to put him down like a rabid dog. That's why I try to have all these conversations so we don't get to that point, so that Miss Jackson ain't got to bury her son. But I mean, y'all got to look at like where you want to put your compassion. You know what I mean? Like if I got Mrs. Jackson's son is running around the community robbing people, it's only going to be a matter of time until he could kill somebody that has, potential, or is trying to get out of the community, or, is getting straight A's or some shit like that. He's going to kill somebody, or a father of 3 or something like that. He's going to kill somebody. So in my opinion, it's better for him to be taken out than for him to take out other people in the community that aren't the types that are running around robbing people. Because like right now, like, this is what everybody always does with poverty. That everybody who's poor and black they're all bad, as opposed to the fact that you got a bunch of bad apples in the community that are literally fucking it up for everybody. Like, just because people are poor doesn't mean that, they wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, who can I kill today? Like, no, but you got the boys that grow up in poverty, and they're in this first world country, surrounded by wealth, seeing wealth on TV, everything else like that, not getting the proper support system. Sometimes the parents are fucked up or lazy or on drugs, or, just being irresponsible. That's the fucked up part about being, a parent, because you can't stop people from having babies. They could be the most unqualified people in the world to bring children in the world, and I'm pregnant. Like, oh my fucking God. You can barely take care of yourself. You got no resources, and you're bringing kids into the world. And then the following year, I'm pregnant again. It's like, oh my God. Just like that 14-year-old that got killed, at the bus stop, who on social media, he was running around flashing his little Glock and shit like that. Oh, I know about that. People like, oh my God, he was 14. He was so young. Yeah, but on his social media, he was flashing his guns and shit like that. So, basically some 20-year-olds blew him away because they were in the streets too. And he wasn't ready for that. And then they went over there, interviewed the mother. I think he was one of 6 children. And she living in this, like, little apartment. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And what dusty nigga did you get with that you got 6 fucking children living in this tight ass space? You know what I'm saying? But like, we can't do anything about that. Like, you can't. What are we gonna do? Be on some Margaret Sanger type shit? Like, what can you do? We can't do anything about it. You cannot stop these people from bringing kids into the world, despite the fact that they don't have resources. They're used to being poor. They're used to poverty. They think it's okay. You know what I mean? And then the kids are just left out there to fend for themselves. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. You know, you can't even address black women on their end of contributing to all this, even though they're running around, my body, my choice, my body, my choice, my decision. And you can see the decisions that they're making with who they lay up with and have a baby by and how many children they freaking bring into the world. You know, they're just as bad as the dudes, but, you know, you can't say that. Because there'll be somebody in the community running around talking about, don't talk about her. Don't talk about her. It's these men. It's fucked up. All I can say is, you know, again, I know nobody wants to hear it. Y'all want to talk about some passive ass way of stopping. I'm sorry, but you gotta fight. You gotta fight, you know, violence with violence. You're not gonna be able to fight it with some old pat. Y'all have tried. Y'all have exhausted that shit forever. You know, thinking that you can negotiate with these young men or have conversations with them and get their minds right. Yeah, I'm sure some of them that might work. You know what I mean? But most of them, it's not going to work. When they go home to dysfunction because the parents are dysfunctional. So you saying what you say, your little bit, if you're really not going to invest and dump resources into this boy, he's got to go out there and do what he feels he needs to do in order to get by, because it's not like he's going to get anything from his parents. He is just a byproduct of them fucking. That's the only reason he's here, is because you had two sexually irresponsible people getting with each other. You know, and unfortunately, you know, because of the environment and all that shit, you know, he ends up coming out like a rabid dog. And what do you have to do with rabid animals? You got to fucking put them down. I know the white supremacists, they'll have a field day with, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Fuck you. This conversation isn't for you. But this is the shit that we have to deal with. Because I'd rather put down, you know, a gun-toting, you know, 14-year-old that thinks it's cool to carjack people and joyride, you know, than you know, some black person that is in poverty and trying to get the fuck out of it, like that young man in Chicago that was going to the culinary arts school and was shot 3 times and lost his leg because he tried to fight back, and the criminal felt some type of way about him fighting back, so he was going to make him pay for it. I think he shot him in the abdomen, shot him in the leg, which had to get amputated, and shot him in the face. What I believe was a I want to say it was a 38 revolver, but it might have been a 357, which I'm totally amazed at how he got shot in the face and you know, survived. So maybe it was a 38 special, which has, you know, less power than a 357, but you ain't trying to get shot with anything anyway. You know, nobody wants to get shot. You know, but until I see more stories on the news, this 15-year-old tried to carjack such and such, and, you know, the person responded and shot them 7 times, and they didn't make it until they start seeing. I'm telling you that it's not going to register with them until they start seeing young boys, same age as them, that are in the dirt because they tried it. But, you know, black people, they want to be all liberal. We got the matriarchal community, a lot of single mothered households and shit like that. Like, you know, old black people that ain't about the Second Amendment, like I told you before. You know, their whole, you know, what you need is a good revolver. You know, them niggas. You know what I mean? You know, so there's not enough of homage Touré in the black community to be like, look, we got to shut this shit down because this shit is out of control. And if you got to put somebody in the dirt, don't put it on yourself. They made their decision. And that's just how it's got to be. But again, black folks don't want to have that conversation. They want to sit there and talk about Jesus and talk about manhood training programs with no resources, no tangible. Them young boys ain't got that time to waste. With spending time with you, listening to you run your mouth, and they're not getting anything tangible out of it. It's not going to happen. So, this is where we are, but that's just how I feel about it. I'm like, it's not gonna stop. It's just like what we talk about with dealing with white supremacists. That whole thing that happened in the top supermarket. Yeah, black people should be vigilant as hell at this point. Whether it was the top supermarket, Dylon Roof in the AME church, or that white guy that killed the two black people in the Kroger's. Again, how come the white supremacists never go to the hard targets? They always go to the soft targets. They're always bitching about, and these black men and they rape our women and they do all that. I'm like, nigga, pull up. Pull up. You know what I'm saying? Pull up right on PnB. They're not gonna do that. Seriously. Pull up on Diamond and Susquehanna. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna pull up. Why? Oh, because they know Pookie got guns. They know Pookie will respond. They know that they might only be able to hit one person and they want more bodies. So if the white supremacists are thinking like that, what makes you think that the same wouldn't apply for these young boys if they were getting shot back at? It's not enough. There's not enough stories. It's like everybody, like Philadelphia is just full of a city of victims. You don't hear many stories about, the person, the person, that was committing the crime got smoked. You don't hear a whole bunch of stories. It happens every once in a while. It happened with that Chinese delivery guy. He killed one of his attackers. There were 3 guys. He shot one. The 20-year-old died. You can find the video on active self-protection. A lot of videos are coming out of Philadelphia. There was another carjacking where both of them lived, but they were both shot. They tried to carjack somebody and they hopped out the car and the person shot both of them. And then, they took the car and they crashed the car. It was like a whole thing. But if you look at the comment section, people in the comment section is cheering. And seriously speaking, that's just how I feel about it. Like, that's just the way that it has to be. Y'all want to take this whole soft approach. Oh, there's got to be another way. Oh, there's got to be another way. Y'all been talking that shit for decades. Decades. And the shit still is as fucked up as ever. So that's just how I feel about that. As it pertains to back to PnB, he was just moving reckless. That's all there is to it. He was moving reckless. And that's why everybody's saying this shit should be a lesson, because nobody should be moving that reckless with hundreds of thousands of dollars around their neck in the middle of the hood. He could have been anywhere in America. I'm not even going to put that on South Central LA. He could have been anywhere in America. He could have been in Atlanta, on the wrong side of Atlanta. He could have been in D.C., wrong side of D.C. He could have been in Philly, wrong part of Philly. Pretty much all of Philly is the wrong part except for freaking Center City. But even Center City, people getting robbed in Center City. People getting shot in the subway in Center City. Seriously, no fucks are being given. And since nobody really wants to address the root of the problem, I'm like, look, this is what has to be done. Nobody wants to address the economic part. They just want to tell you, no, just give them this Bible and they'll be good and they'll behave, even though they're struggling to survive. I'm like, okay. You keep thinking that, boo-boo. It's like I swear, it's like what I said the other before. I'm like, we have a society that thinks that, having this many people, in poverty, shouldn't have any consequences. I'm like, it's going to have consequences. And honestly, if you don't want to be a victim, you're going to have to react and respond in a violent manner to prevent yourself from being victimized. And nobody wants to have that discussion. No, there has to be another way. I'm like, go be a pacifist somewhere else. But in my opinion, there are not, people talk about gun control. No, oh, there's too many guns in Philadelphia. No, it's not that there's too many guns in Philadelphia. There's too many criminals with guns in Philadelphia. But there's not enough of the type of people that you would want to have a gun with guns in the city of Philadelphia. I don't know where black people get this whole idea. It's like that Jesus bullshit. Being pious, brings you closer to salvation. Being nonviolent brings you closer, to salvation. Right? Being broke and dusty brings you closer to Jesus. I know some people don't like Jordan Peterson, but that whole statement that he made about being, a useful man has to be, essentially a violent man that has it underneath voluntary control is 100% accurate. The so-called good men in the community do have to, protect the herd. You're supposed to be the sheepdog. That's what you're supposed to be. And you're supposed to be checking the fuck out of these young men. But that's not what's happening, even on the street level, even when it comes to the Ray Rays and Pookies. I mean, clearly we have no gang organization. Like, where the hell are the OGs at? These niggas got no power. None. Because you got the young boys just running around all reckless. You go back to the mob and shit like that. Like, I mean, you saw like a Bronx Tale. I know it's just a movie, but I'm just using it as an example. Well, how did Sonny react when he discovered that what was the boy's name? The boy that burned up in the car. What was his name? Not freaking Mario. Who's the other boy? But anyway, the other boy with the top hat. You know what I mean? Like, he had the gun. And, freaking Sonny was like, you going to, like, the fuck are you doing? You going to get this whole fucking block pinched. You going to get us all pinched. You going to make the block hot. You see, so, like, I don't know. This, I'm not into the street life. I don't know what the politics are, but the shit just looks a hot damn mess. It's messy. It doesn't look like anybody's getting permission to do anything. You gonna make the block hot. We can't have that. We here for business. Like, it's like those days are just gone. So now it's just like what Rick Ross said. It's just freelance motherfuckers just running around, just all over the place. Just randomly attacking people, like just opportunities. Somebody's at the gas station pumping gas, and then motherfuckers just roll up like, yeah, let's go. It's go time. And then you see all these people, they out there with nothing but they ass. I'm like, why don't you have anything on you? Again, PnB Rock moving recklessly. Like, you got all that money, you flossing, like you walking around with freaking steak around your neck and shit like that. Like I was watching some video clip the other day, just trying to listen to other people's opinions. They were saying the same thing I said. He was like, you walking around with steak with all these animals around and shit. He was like, these niggas will come see about you. They'll come see about you, my nigga. And then you had freaking Whack 100 talking about, he walking around with all this jewelry on it, with jewelry that costs more than the damn houses in the area. He riding around in a car that's twice what people make in a year. reckless. It's reckless, and it's not just a matter of it being a lesson in, PnB Rock. It's a lesson to everybody. I fight with so many quote unquote educated lambs about the Second Amendment, getting their permit, their paperwork, their license, all that shit. It's insane. Because much of us not being respected has a great deal to do with the fact that there's never a response. We're not organized, even with each other. Like when you watch it, I know it's a different category, but go ahead and watch that video of the Crips versus, I think it was like the Crips versus the Army Rangers or some shit like that. It's an awesome video. It's an awesome video. You know what I mean? But they literally had a shootout with the Crips. I know people are going to say, well, you're advocating for shootouts. No, that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is the camaraderie that they had, the backing, hey, I got a problem. I need you guys to show up on some Deacon of Defense type of shit. I don't know. I don't know where that just disappeared with the quote unquote good men. You know what I mean? Because when those white, the white supremacists back in the, when they were trying to integrate the schools, them Deacons of Defense showed up with rifles. Like, it's not going to go down. And maybe that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is the fact that, they were veterans, and today's young black people and all these go to college types, they're not fucking veterans. That's the one thing that I'm supportive of when it comes to, black men going into the military, even though I have contempt for the military and just the whole way that, military industrial complex moves and operates and everything else. But we do need black men learning discipline, learning, bravery skills, all these sort of things, working with each other. I mean, this is what the white supremacists are doing. I don't know if you all heard about, the white supremacists infiltrating the military, learning to get skills so that they can be better prepared for the coming race war, right? And I'm saying clearly, it seems like black men need some of that. They need whatever these white supremacists are getting in the military. Black men need some of that. And it doesn't seem like we can get it, anywhere else. The women are sleeping with the wrong dudes. The men that don't, they're doing their own thing that aren't the fathers of these young men, and they don't even live in the community, or they don't feel like that's their responsibility. So it's not going to come from them. So who's it going to come from? And then how would you even get these young men in the freaking military? But, in terms of having that sort of mentality, like this is not, that mentality is exactly why you saw a lot of these black purges, go down in the 1920s, because those black men that came back from World War I and World War II, they weren't just going to lay down fucking over there shooting at Germans and everything else like that, getting Purple Hearts and all type of French medals and shit like that. And then they come home and they got to deal with all type of disrespect when they fought and died and lost comrades for their country. Oh, that's a whole different attitude. They ready to die. Shit, we all going to die anyway. They ready to die. I mean, everybody's going to die and nobody's going to remember who you are, right? Like the TikTok says, fuck it. That's a fact. But when you got all these problems existing in your community, and you got young boys that seemingly don't care if they die, and you got older black men in the community acting like, well, I'm just trying to make it to tomorrow, bitch ass nigga. You bitch ass nigga. That's just how I look at it. I wish it wasn't this way. I wish that everybody would handle their business, and so that you don't have to have such a radical response or radical approach. But that bullshit Run DMC is talking about is just that. Bullshit. It's bullshit. So, like I said, it is what it is. You live in a country where you can actually protect yourself and not be a victim with a firearm. And I don't see enough black men engaging and exercising in that shit. The black men who are the type of men that we want to have that so that they can be able to intervene and shut shit down before it even fucking starts. But if you think that you're just going to go out there running your mouth with nothing but your ass when these young boys are walking around with polymer 80 Glocks on them, you know what I'm saying? You got another thought coming. I don't know where so many older black men got this simpleton ass mentality. I don't know where they got this shit from. This shit that ultimately equates to sitting on your ass and not doing a goddamn thing. Because you worried about losing the crumbs that you got. But yet all this chaos is going on around you. You know, it's fucked up. And the primary people who should be focused about this shit are the people who actually live there. Trying to get the other people to come back and, you know, move into an area to create some sort of, you know, intact, thriving black community that has multiple classes of people there. That's a whole nother complex conversation. And when you look at the attempts that have been made, like communities like Soul Town, which had racist senators that went out of their way to defund it and make sure it wasn't going to happen. Like, again, these are the things that people don't even know about. Or not Soul Town, Soul City. And just, you know, just said, oh, no, we don't want that. We don't want black people to be a burden onto white society, but, you know, we don't want to do anything to facilitate them becoming self-sufficient. You know, it's such a just crock of shit when it comes to the system of white supremacy. So that they can just keep us, you know, this perpetual group that they just bitch about. It's fucked up. But anyway, I'm done with this video. That's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. I'm out.